First night lay when I date is kind of like the standard nowadays, but getting a second date and things like that, that's where it gets different. Where it's like, that's not as obvious these days. Okay, I can get the first date. I can get the same lay date even, but why can't I get a second date? Are these broken women or low value women? Well, spoiler alert, no, it's not.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, fave, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, please give us a 5-star review and write out why you like the show. You know, one thing I think I might start doing is if you actually take the time to give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts and write out why you like the show, I'm going to start reading those reviews. So if you want to get a shout out, that's an easy way of doing it without having to join the Patreon. If you want to hear your name called out in a future episode, I'm going to start doing that. I haven't done that in the past because I have an Android phone. I don't have an iPhone. So getting on iTunes is kind of a pain in the butt for me. So it's not easy to do that. So that's why I haven't done that, but I'm gonna look into doing that more, and then I can actually write out or read out what you guys are saying about the show and try to encourage you guys to give us a 5-star review, because that actually helps us in the charts and stuff for the audio platform. All right. Oh, speaking of joining the Patreon to get a shout out, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. That actually supports the show more than anything. There's 5 tiers available. The lowest tier is only $5. So, you know, it's like a cup of coffee a month. Just skip a cup of coffee, actually support the show. And that helps get us in front of other guys. There's also tiers available if you want actual support. Like if you need dating app support, you know, if you need, you want to optimize your dating profile, like you can join tier 3, 4, or 5, and I can help you with that. Some of the guys though that actually join those upper tiers, they're not necessarily asking for dating advice. They're asking for stuff like investment advice, right? Like how to set up a 401k, how to set up a Roth IRA. They're talking to me about like weight loss and stuff like that, because, you know, if you didn't know this, I used to be a fat piece of crap, and I lost a ton of weight back in 2016, and I've been able to keep it off. So I know a little bit about that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a, you know, physical trainer or a nutritionist, but there's some things that I know, yeah, you know, from personal experience, you know, take advantage of that. I'm an old guy. Look at this gray hair. Okay. I've got experience. So take advantage of that. Patreon.com/comeonmanpod. There's 5 tiers available. Check it out. Also, I want you guys to get on my email list. So that way I don't get deplatformed. Or if I do get deplatformed, I can reach out and say, hey, follow me on my new account. When you sign up, you get free stickers. Here's one of them, the red pilled sticker. I think this is the most popular one, but you get all 3 of the stickers free of charge. I just sign up for the email, and then I will reach out via email and say, hey, give me a good mailing address. I'm not storing the mailing addresses. That's just to send the stickers. I'm only keeping the email addresses, and that's just so I can keep in contact with my audience in case I ever get deplatformed. And speaking of deplatformed, I'm back on TikTok now. I took a month and a half off, and man, I don't know if I'm under a crushing shadow ban or if it's the recent algorithm change, but I've been posting at the time of this recording every day for like a week, and some of my views are stuck at like 3. You know, they're stuck at like 60 views. Doesn't make any sense for someone that has 23,000 followers. So I don't know. I have seen some videos saying that TikTok's taking a longer time to push new videos out. So that might be it. But I don't know, man. It's really frustrating. On Instagram and YouTube, I'm getting much better engagement, and with a fraction of the following. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever. I don't know if I'm just going to be permanently banned here again pretty soon, but if so, sign up for the email list. It's list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you some free stickers for your troubles. All right. Joining me this week is my friend Jack Napier. He's from the Netherlands, so he's Dutch. Last week I had another guy on, Koen Garon, from the Netherlands too. So it's a Dutchy double header. Got back-to-back Dutchies. So Jack is good. He's a good dude. He's been on the podcast before. Earlier in the year, he's pretty well known in the manosphere for doing physical fitness. He's a physical trainer. People sign up for his monthly accountability program, and they send him videos of their workouts, right? Like their deadlifts and their squats and stuff. And he critiques their form, right? Because the better the form, if you do less weight but better form, you get better results. So he will tweak that and say, hey, straighten your back up more or whatever. And people are getting really good results with his program. But we don't really talk about that today. We were originally going to talk about MGTOW, men going their own way, but we ended up going off on a complete tangent for the entire episode. We ended up talking about his travels this year. He went to Portugal and Spain, and also came to the United States. We talk a little bit about that. We talk about faceless masculinity accounts and their meaningless platitudes, but how those meaningless platitudes get a lot of engagement on Twitter. We talk about other social media marketing, Instagram. Talk a little bit about, TikTok's nonsense. We talk about Corey Wayne, right? So if you go back and listen to the first interview I did with Jack, we found out that Jack is a 3% brother. He's read Corey Wayne's book 10 to 15 times. So Jack and I, we were in a Discord group together. I'm no longer in that group. I just decided it wasn't for me, but it's ran by a guy named Dante. Dante's a good dude. And Dante runs this Discord group basically for fans of Ryan Stone. And in that Discord, Jack talks about how, he's having no problems getting hookups. He's like meeting women, going on dates and hooking up pretty quickly. Doesn't have a problem spinning plates, but he wants something more. And, he wants something of more substance, a girl that will stick around a little bit longer. And so in that Discord group, I said, hey man, you probably don't want to hear this, but you should probably revisit Corey Wayne's 3% Man book. So he did. And I think he's starting to see some results. So we start talking about that. We also talk about his book narrating, because he narrates audiobooks. He's narrated books for Troy Francis. He's narrated audiobooks for Aaron Clary. So we talk about that. We also talk about the book of Pook. And, at the time of the recording of this interview, Jack had started doing his own voice recording of the book of Pook. And he hadn't finished it yet, but he's finished it now. It's now available. So if you go to his YouTube channel and check it out, I think he's giving it away for free for his subscribers. So look into that. But if you're not familiar with the book of Pook, it predates The Rational Male. This guy Pook was an active member on the So Suave forums where Rollo came out of. So Rollo was around when this guy was posting, and someone compiled all this guy's posts into a book. And it's just a really great book on, sexual dynamics between men and women, understanding women better. If you want to, he talks about becoming a Don Juan, right? So great book. I highly recommend it. I read it earlier this year. But yeah, Jack's new audiobook version of it is now available. So if you haven't listened to it yet, check out Jack's version for sure. All right. I will enough, nonsense. If you guys didn't know this, I actually recorded this whole thing. And then, I thought I did. I did this whole thing, and then I went to go stop the recording and realized I hadn't even started the recording. So I think this is actually a shorter version of what I originally said, but you get the gist. I will bring you that conversation with Jack. right after these words. Hey, you, I'm going to make this real quick. I know you hate ads. If you like this show, if you love this podcast, if you think more men should tune in, then you should consider joining my Patreon. You will be supporting the show, and I get to help more men level up their lives. There's now 5 tiers available, starting as low as $5 a month. It's like buying me a beer, and each tier gives you better bonuses. Visit patreon.com/comeonmanpod to sign up. That's patreon.com/comeonmanpod. One last time, that's patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Help me help more men level up and be better with women. Returning to the podcast is the manosphere's favorite Dutchie. It's Jack Napier.
Hello.
What's going on, man? It's been a while.
I've been doing well. Actually, it has been a while. It really has been a while. You should come on with me and Rob again soon.
Yeah, let's do it anytime. You've been doing a lot of traveling since the last time we talked. You went to, was it Portugal or Spain or
Portugal? Yes.
Portugal. And then most recently you came out, graced the United States with your presence and met up with Rob and Vince from Masculine Geek.
Mhm.
How was all of that? What was all of that about? Like, I mean, were you just like on vacation for the Portugal thing, or were you just like?
The Portugal thing mostly was a workaway project. So a friend of mine, he has some project there where he wants to literally build a small community, things like that, a retreat for people. And there were houses being built. There were some recreational buildings being built, things like that. So he told me like a year ago or something that he would have a place for me. I was like, I would be happy to, especially with the online thing now going well. I'm pretty location independent. So I was like, let's go. But it was very off grid. It was very, very off grid. And I was kind of like, okay, I am thankful for the experience, but I am never doing that again. It's like, I was not born in the 21st century only to go back. Technically too much, where it's like, no, I like my sanitary, you know?
Like, yeah, you were offline. I mean, literally incommunicado for like, how long were you there? Like a month, 2 months?
Yeah, a month, 4 weeks.
Okay.
And I had some internet, like I was dependent on my internet data. So I kept contact with my clients in the monthly consultation course. We still kept the Discord going, and that luckily it was only 1 month. So there was one time I had to like go to the local, ask him for the internet access and do our consultation there. So luckily that was possible. But there was a trade-off where I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to focus on YouTube. I'm not going to focus on, was I already banned off Twitter back then? Yeah, I was already banned.
Yeah, I think you were.
Yeah. I was already banned of Twitter. So I didn't have to worry about that. I did some audio recordings for the exclusive Coffee Cast for the YouTube members, and I just gave them a Google Drive link where it's like, okay, guys, here it is, MP3 only. But it was pretty sustainable, actually.
Nice. Okay. And how was your trip to the US? You went out to Philadelphia, right?
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It really was wonderful. Yeah. After the off-grid experience, I really needed that. And words cannot describe how generous of people Vince and Rob are. Like, seriously, they had everything taken care of. They were very pleasant, great company to be with. I couldn't have asked for more. I really couldn't have. I had such a good time.
Does Vince live over in that area?
Yeah. He lives in Pennsylvania, I believe.
Okay.
Is that correct? That Pennsylvania is like right next to Philly?
Well, Philly's in Pennsylvania.
Okay, no, yeah, okay. Then it makes sense. My geography never was that well.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, very cool. Yeah, I saw some pictures. You guys posted some stuff online. It looked like a fun trip. So,
it was great.
One thing I wanted to let you know about, you might not give a shit, but this is the second episode in a week where I've had someone from the Netherlands on.
Really?
Yeah. I'm cheating on you, man. Like
who was the other guy?
So last week's episode, I interviewed a guy who started an outsourced dating business called Havalo. Have you heard of it?
No.
Yeah, this guy basically, he caters to rich people that don't have time to do online dating, and he fucking makes their profiles and he chats for them and shit. It was fascinating conversation, but yeah, he's from the Netherlands. So I was like, oh, that's so weird that I'm talking to this guy, and I'm going to talk to Jack here next week. So
That's pretty interesting. No, I never heard of him.
yeah. I can't remember his name. He's
Probably something Dutch like Hans of Jan.
Oh, I do remember it now. Yeah, it was Koen.
Oh, yeah, with a K.
Yeah, Koen. Because I was like, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Cohen? And he's like, no, it's Koen. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, cool.
All right, so
Interesting.
that's not what we didn't want to talk about your trips and
I'd love to talk about you. How have you been? I mean, you've been all over the place, like TikTok and YouTube and probably Twitter. How is Twitter?
Twitter's a shithole. I'm still trying to figure out Twitter. So this is what I've been doing lately. Okay, at the time of this recording, Rob will tell you. I decided that I was going to take faceless masculinity accounts, copy their tweets, and just fucking steal them. Just shameless steal them. And you know what happens? People retweet that shit. It is like, we all talk about, it's just these, meaningless platitudes that they're posting on there, but fucking people on Twitter eat that shit up. And
yeah, I mean, why do you think Naval is so popular on Twitter? And not to shit on Naval. I mean, apparently he's hacked the Matrix, but I mean, most of what he tweets is just common sense. I mean, even Life Math Money, and I really like the guy. This is nothing personal, but even he every now and then has a tweet like, drink water a day to cover cravings or blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh my God. It's like, holy shit, where has this been all my life? It's like,
right.
Really?
Yeah. It's great. And so, I mean, I sort of had this idea a couple months ago where I told Ryan about it because I was just sort of joking about grifters, right? And how it's like effortless, like they don't put any fucking effort into it, right?
Mm-mm.
And so I decided to test it out. And so I was stealing their tweets, and I was making TikTok videos where I had a template where I just sat there and pointed, right? And it says, tweets from faceless masculinity accounts. And then I just had like an auto computer read whatever the tweet said. And that stuff, like, it didn't do so well on TikTok, but it blew up on YouTube. And so I was like, this is so stupid. Like, it takes me 5 minutes to copy and paste this and publish this shit online. And it's like, I get 2,000 views on it, 10,000 views on it. It's like, what? This is stupid.
I don't know. I mean, you're a braver man than I when it comes to that, because for some odd reason, like, I know it works. Yeah. And I've did it a couple of times on Twitter where it's just platitudes, but it just takes the fun out of it for me. Like, I'd rather be known by a handful of people than by millions for stupid shit.
Well, see, so I like to
like, everybody knows Jack Murphy. It's like, but
they know him as the cuck guy, though. But So what I've actually done too is I put out tweets saying, I'm doing this. Just fair warning, if you see platitudes on Twitter, this is why, because I'm stealing it from faceless men. So I put it out there, but people still like it and retweet it and comment. And I'm like, this is great. This is just like so stupid. So now what I'm doing on Instagram, I figured out how to use Canva, which is like, meme creator type thing. It's like all the faceless masculinity accounts, they all have these like fancy fucking branded, Instagram cards. I learned how to make those on there, and now I'm just copying the faceless masculinity tweets and putting it on that, and that'll get like, few hundred fucking likes, and I'm just like, this is stupid. This is dumb.
Doing it all wrong. Here I am with my memes, my pretty face. It's like, oh my God.
Well, I still put out content, I still actually make content. So I feel like I'm putting in more effort than some of these guys. So most of it's just a gag, but
I mean, that's the whole thing. Like everybody always complains, like work harder. No. Work smarter. Really, just work smarter. It's like not harder, smarter. Like if you see what gets traction, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And
because another thing too is like TikTok I'm on like this account warning thing. This is the second month in a row where I've had to put my account on private, just to put space between bogus violations. Because if you don't have space between them, like you get permanently banned, and I don't want to get permanently banned again. So I've also been really focusing on trying to build up Instagram. And I've noticed that Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts are getting way more views than my average TikTok videos now. So I'm like, why am I even on TikTok anymore?
I've been asking that question for a while, Paul.
Well, for a while, it was like you put a video out, you'd get, 30,000 views, like that. Like it was nothing. And now it's like a struggle, So it's like, why am I doing this when Reels and YouTube is like treating me well? They're not taking down all my stuff. Like, I don't know. So that's where I'm at. That's what I've been doing.
Well, not a bad place to be. Sounds productive.
Trying to build up the podcast. I eventually want to do this full time, and that's one of the reasons why I started a Patreon recently, and that's going pretty good. So yeah, I eventually want to be, just do this full time, retire from my day job. That's the goal. Yeah,
that is the best place to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Be prepared though. Be prepared because you're going to have a lot of time. In all honesty, a lot of people say, well, the grind set and 80 hours a week. No, like maybe to build it up. But once you're finally there, it's kind of like, because making a video, things like that, posting it doesn't take 40 hours a week. Maybe for some people it does if you really want to go on the editing, but don't let perfect stand in the way of good kind of thing.
Yeah.
Make content. Like, what is the message you want to do? Now, in all honesty, I only have 2.5, 2.6 on YouTube, but I care more about the message than the presentation, which might shoot me in the foot. However, I have a pretty good loyal following and very switched on guys. But with that comes the whole thing of not needing to put in a lot of time in it. The good thing about a day job is that it takes up a lot of time. Where it's like you actually got something to do if you have a good day job. I mean, let's be honest, most office work is really like the movie Office Space, where it's like the first 4 hours are productive, and then it's like daycare.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm a by trade an IT director, so I don't do a lot of the hands-on crap anymore. I delegate everything, so my day is almost exclusively shaped around meetings. So I look at my calendar, I see all the meetings I got to do for the day. And, I fit in stuff like, exercise in between meetings and stuff like that. And maybe even making TikToks and stuff. But there's days where I only have like 1 or 2 meetings. And so I have the whole rest of the day to do sort of work on stuff, I have to be available because people call me all day. But, there's not like I have active projects I'm working on constantly, which is nice. It's nicer than most jobs, I would say.
Oh yeah, I believe that 100%.
Yeah, but the TikToks that I've been making lately with the red background and stuff like that, and the the captions and stuff, those take a lot of effort to make. Whereas my old TikToks, where it was just me, just sort of like talk to the camera and stuff like that, would take me like 5 minutes to make. It was super easy. But these new ones, which actually get more views, take, I might be able to crank out 3 in like an hour, maybe 2 hour period, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot of fucking like manual effort doing the captions and fixing all that stuff. I basically have to edit the videos twice, once on my computer, once on my phone. It's a whole process, but.
Well, that's kind of what I've been wondering for a while now with a lot of content creators, because like I said, in all honesty, I don't put a lot of effort into social media because I resent it. Like, it's a necessary evil for me.
Yeah.
And but I do see plenty of, like, quote unquote successful, and definition of successful in this case being, let's say, over 10,000 followers on Instagram or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they are posting constantly.
Yeah. You know how they do that, though?
Bots maybe, or they have a guy who does it for them.
They have a guy. Yeah. I talked to Elliot Hulse about it. I had Elliot Hulse on the show, and you know, he's got 2 million fucking followers on YouTube. He's got, I think, probably 1 million followers on Instagram or whatever. And so I asked him who does all of his captions, or how he does all of his captions. He goes, I don't know, I got a guy.
Nice.
So he just sends like clips to his guy. His guy chops it all up, posts it for him all week long. He doesn't do shit. You know, he just pays this guy.
That's pretty nice.
I'd like to get to that point. Yeah. And then I could go be like Clary, where I just fucking hike all day and just flip off, you know, the camera and say, enjoy your shitty day jobs, you losers. And
kind of like that. No, but so in some cases they have a guy. So let's say you don't have one. And what I've been wondering is, like, we always say, like, a slave to the grind or the 9 to 5 and blah, blah, blah. But then I'm wondering, yeah, but haven't you just switched masters? Where it's like, instead of your employer, now your audience is your master.
I don't look at it that way. Okay. Like I look at it more like, this is my vision. Like, this is my dream to do this full time. I like I like the satisfaction of helping guys that want to be helped.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Here. Right. So it's like, when I see guys posting in the comments saying, oh, you know, I've lost this much weight just because I watch your exercise videos or whatever, right? And it's not like I'm not a trainer like you, right? That's not
I've had a couple of guys hit me up indeed, where it's like, man, I've lost like 20 pounds just of the free advice you give, and that just gives me a great feeling.
Yeah. Or I got guys that are like, oh, dude, I've got like four dates this week just based off of the stuff that you talk about in your TikToks and stuff. I'm like, fucking awesome, you know. I joke around with my girlfriend, and I'm like, don't mind me, I'm just changing lives over here. But
oh, you know, just typical day, typical me, just saving lives, being humble, you know, right. Blessing them with my presence and knowledge.
Right. But I mean, honestly, that's what I get enjoyment out of it. And now that I'm doing the Patreon, and I got one of the things I offer with that is basically the mid tier. You get unlimited tech support for me, right? Just because for me, it's if someone shoots me a text, it's no trouble at all to give them my thoughts on whatever, you know. So it's simple for me, but for them, it's like, oh, thank you so much. This is so great. I can't believe, like, I never thought of that before, you know. And it's like, you know, I like helping guys out like that. So I don't look at it like I'm a slave to the audience. I look at it like, this is fun. I'm passionate for doing this, and the stuff I do for my day job, I'm not passionate about that shit. Like, that's just a paycheck, you know?
No, I know what you mean, but it's kind of like, it's not that you're available every moment of the day, right?
Right.
And the sense of just choosing a new master, what I meant by that was, you have to keep growing, kind of thing. You have to stay relevant. And then that relevancy in and of itself becomes your new, well, the guy behind the whip, sort of say. I have to appease the algorithm. That's something I was always afraid of, where it's like, yeah, you're just getting into a new grind, sort of say. And then we get back to the whole work smarter, not harder kind of thing, where Elliot just solved that by getting another guy. Yeah. And at a certain point, I don't know if this is true, by the way, but as long as you post every week or every this, every that on YouTube, you're going to get in the algorithm, and your audience is going to at least stay at a certain level. But I've seen guys like Tim Pool or whatever, they can't even take a vacation or whatever, because, well, otherwise I'm going to lose my spot in the algorithm. kind of thing. And then I wonder, like, okay, if that's the case, then what makes it better than a 9 to 5? Well, I don't have to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of do.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, I learned my lesson. You know, it's funny. We're talking about social media and stuff like that. That's basically like nothing what we were originally going to talk about, but that's fine. So
welcome to a podcast with me.
Right.
It's like, hey, here's the topic. Oh, wait, by the way.
No, this is perfect, though. People might actually give a shit about this. So years ago, not a lot of people know this, but you can still find it on YouTube. I had a channel called Tech Chop, and it had a website, techchop.com and everything. And I had sponsors. I was a part of the Tech Podcast Network. They would have sponsorships periodically. So I was doing pretty good. I wasn't like making enough to do it full time, but I was making enough. I was making like, $500 a month from it. Right. Which it's not enough to live on, but it's enough to.
It's nice.
Yeah. It's, it might cover some expenses. You could buy bullshit with it. That's what back then I was terrible with money. So I would just fucking blow it on shit. And
have you heard about our Lord and Master, Aaron Clary?
Right. Nowadays I take the money I make from the podcast and I invest it. That's what I'm doing now. And then when I make it my full-time gig, obviously it's going to, be my paycheck and stuff. But I learned from that. When I first started that, it started off as like a passion. I was doing it like once a month. It was on like tech shit that I was learning. It was real nerdy and I was having a lot of fun doing it. But then when the sponsors started coming in, they wanted episodes weekly. And so I found myself, doing all this work to edit the videos. And back then I wasn't that great at editing. And I also did like green screens and shit. And so there was a lot of editing involved. And so by the time I would edit it or write it, film it, edit it, produce it, I had to start thinking of what I was going to do for the next week. And that became, I was a slave to that. So that's why when I started this podcast, having had that experience, I was like, I can't do that again because I'll get burnt out. I won't fucking like it. So I said, this time I'm not doing green screen shit. Yeah, I'm going to just do an audio podcast. That's what I started off doing. And then when I started putting stuff on YouTube, I started interviewing people and that became the thing. And that just became a much easier thing to edit because all I have to do is cut off the beginning and the end. And there you go. I have to record, an intro and outro. I do that separately. Anytime anyone listens to this stuff, it's like, I'm in a totally different shirt. It's usually like, a month later by the time I get around to editing it. And so,
yeah. When is this going to be released?
Oh, geez. This is probably going to be out in October, maybe.
Well, happy Halloween, everybody.
Right. I don't know.
Thanksgiving. Wait, November is 31st of sorry. Halloween is the 31st of October, right?
Correct.
Or no? Yeah. I mean, we don't.
Yeah, and then it's going to be Thanksgiving in November. Much. Yeah.
Yeah, Thanksgiving
for America. Yeah.
Yeah. Though Halloween is getting more popular in the Netherlands, though. Finally, slutty nurses everywhere. Let's go.
Dude, yes. slutty outfit season. So great. But that's why I don't do live streams. I know like almost everybody in the manosphere does StreamYard and they do it live, but I don't do that. I record all the shit over Zoom. I put it in the can, and that way I schedule this stuff out, a couple of weeks in advance. So if I do want to take time off, which coming back around to the original point, if I do want to take like a vacation or whatever, I can do it. It's no big deal. So yeah, that's why I do it the way I do it.
Nice. Yeah, it's a pretty good concept.
Yeah, because like I said, back in the tech shop days, it was just like fuck, In fact, what's funny? The clips that dropped this week for this week's episode, which was the solo episode on how I lost my weight, like the Instagram reels that I posted where like I'm heavy set. All those clips came from my tech shop because I was a fat fuck back then.
I gotta say, man, you did a great job. I had no idea you lost so much weight. It's like, damn, you came a long way.
Oh, Man, yeah. When I talk about when I first, got divorced and just I had no idea what I was doing on the dating circuit. It was exacerbated by the fact that I was a fat piece of shit.
I mean, you'd be surprised how much that helps not being a fat piece of shit in dating.
Oh, well, I'm not, because I figured that out. But one thing, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this. He's a dating coach too. And I don't even like being considered a dating coach, but whatever.
I will quit the internet as soon as I'm being called that.
But I mean, it's essentially what I'm offering on Patreon. So, whatever. Life coach, mentor, whatever. That fucking guy.
Random asshole on the internet giving you advice so you don't have to burn.
There you go. Perfect.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a long business card. But yeah, we were talking about this. And one of the things is he was getting trained by a mutual friend of ours, right? Like he actually bought date coaching from a mutual dating coach friend of ours, and went under this guy's wing, learned all this shit, fucking started killing it, started getting rotations of women and stuff like that, just doing great. But one of the things that our mutual friend tells guys is, you don't have to be thin. Like you can be ugly, and as long as you have confidence, like you can get hot women, which is true to an extent, but it is like so much fucking harder. So that is something I never tell guys. I never tell them like, yeah, you can be a fat fuck and get hot women. I will not tell them that.
No, I 100% agree with you. Like there is, now I have to kind of choose my words carefully here, because is it all looks? No. Does it help? Yes. Then you're going to get to the question, what is the appearance of these women? Can a fat guy get with like a model good looks kind of girl? I've seen it. However, I do have questions what happens behind the scenes, where it's like, I don't know, maybe she gets her rocks off somewhere else. You don't know that kind of thing. Game will always be king.
Yeah.
Game will always be king. Like I've seen guys like better looking than I, kissing my own ass here, but they were just like absolute fucking morons when it came to game. And I believe I've told you this story before, but you can be the hottest guy ever. It will get you through the door, but there is still this concept of stepping on your own dick. And believe me, they did.
Yeah.
They did. It's like, oh my God. But if you are a heavier guy, but you do present yourself well and you have game, you can go a long way. I've heard girls say this even, where, trying to not paraphrase too much, but I believe her exact words were like, yeah, I had a date a while back and the guy lost a lot of weight and he had a lot of loose skin, but he was funny and he was already here, so I did sleep with him. It's like, I mean, at a certain point, it's sunk cost fallacy where it's like, well, he's already here. I am in the mood and he is funny,
Right. Right. But it's not like she's actively, like the genuine burning desire that everyone talks about, right? That's not there. He's
don't care, got laid.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, don't care, got laid.
Yeah.
Is she there? Is she willing? Yeah, but you want a girl who's, hey, she wants me right now. Let's go.
No, I would agree with that. This sort of comes back to what we were originally going to talk about, though, right? Which is like, sometimes it's easy to get laid. It's easy to get laid, once or twice. Yep. It's not so easy to have something consistent. And, we were chatting about that on the Discord community.
Yep.
And you wrote a blog post about that, and when you wrote that, it immediately made me think of the book The Game, which is like, these guys were all out there getting laid. That was really great, but then they all sort of started feeling, empty inside. And I mean, you did say though that a lot of those pickup artists had mental issues, though.
Oh yeah. And I mean, that's even in the game. That is not me just saying that. That has been on record by themselves.
Mhm.
I will never forget the first time I met Tom Torero, the late Tom Torero, unfortunately. But he even told me, like, kid, you wouldn't believe the issues the PUA community has mentally. We're all fucked up, he said. We're all messed up.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mystery is a great example of that, where he got one-itis for this Russian girl named Tatiana or whatever. I mean, this is the guy who could like walk away with every girl he'd meet.
Mhm.
And he still hadn't figured out the whole mental point of origin thing. Like getting a girl is one thing, keeping her is a second one. And this goes for girls as well. I mean, you have a part of your audience is female. Ladies, this one's for you. Getting a guy is easy. Keeping him is something completely different.
Mhm.
Like this holds up for women as well. And in my case, like I was able, like, look, I hate saying it like this, but so a first night lay when I date is kind of like the standard nowadays. But getting a second date and things like that, that's where that's where it gets different. Where it's like, that's not as obvious these days. And when I wrote that post, it was mostly about that. Like, okay, like I can get the first date, I can get the same lay date even, but why can't I get a second date? Like, are these girls, this is such a stupid thing. It's like, are these broken women or low value women? Well, spoiler alert, no, it's not. Like, am I a bad first date? Well, I wouldn't consider that because I can get like the multiple lay on the first date. And if I were to suck, it was kind of like, well, why did I get the second, the third, and the fourth round kind of thing? So I kept on wondering, what is it? And Rob mentioned to me, Jack, you need to like up the age because you're mostly dating 19 to 23-year-olds. I'm kind of like, is that really it? Because in the past, I've had plenty of like success with women that age range where I did get a second, third, or fourth date and even a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And like the epiphany phase thing, it's kind of like, I don't want to deal with that.
There's, I would say chicks, a lot of chicks. I mean, even though there's chicks that, you know, clearly just want to sleep around and not be tied down. There's plenty of chicks that want commitment. And a lot of chicks they'll sleep with a lot of guys, right? But it'll only be in committed relationships. There's those chicks exist.
I mean, plenty. And I just kept digging because I'm always of the opinion that ask yourself first what you could do better. Instead of pointing at the women where it's like, oh, but they're hypergamous and they only want the top 20%. It's like, yeah, whatever. Nobody cares. Like, go away. Like, I have an issue. And since I am the one who has an issue, I need to look to myself to fix it. Now, I might come back and bite me in the ass every now and then because there are things I really cannot control. But there are things I can control. So I'd rather focus on that. So, okay. And of all things, because I've been dealing with this for a while now, because it happened again a couple of weeks ago. Like, got closest to my type physically in a while. Great girl, really like dense set of hair, like real fucking lovely. Great humor, things like that. Thin, very happy about that. Just as tall as I am. Suck at black pillars. taller than I in heels. I didn't care. I'll buy climbing gear if I have to. But
you're all the same height laying down.
That's what I told her. Yeah, at a certain point, what was it? We were talking about heels. I'm like, I would not mind you wearing those. She's like, how tall are you? Like 180, so like 6 foot ish, somewhere around that. 5'11", 6 foot ish. She's like, well,
6 foot on Tinder.
Yeah, 6 foot on Tinder. She's like, well, I do get tall in heels. I'm like, we're all the same height lying down. She just laughed. I was like, God damn it. I'm like, well, that's the thing, right? But And here's where I went wrong. And it took Corey Wayne, of all people, like to figure this out. And I was so pissed off at myself because she texted me after the date, like, hey, I got home safe and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you know right away, as soon as I say it, you know right away what I did wrong. I'm like, hey, I'm glad you got home and blah, blah, blah. And I had a good time. And then I continued the texting conversation. Now, Paul, what did I do wrong?
Man, you're supposed to texting's for setting up dates, man. That's really
bingo.
although I will say this. So in the 3% Man Facebook community, when I first started learning this shit, first started like asking questions about the book, people like really take a lot of what the book says literally, right? So they always say, oh, if she reaches out to you, you set that next definite date. You don't do it on the hey, I hope you got home text. No, on that one you say, yeah, I had a great time, and then you fucking leave it be.
And I finally figured it out. That's where I went wrong. So for some odd reason, I was kind of tired of it because I had a couple of girls who did reach out to me, and with them I was a bit lukewarm. It's like, like accidentally leaving them on read and kind of thing because I was busy with something or whatever I was doing. And then the ones I was more interested in, I kind of chased them via text. And at a certain point, I was like, come on, kid, you've done that before. You can do it again. What am I missing? And so I went back to the roots and I went back to Wayne. And immediately, like within the first minute, he says, well, you've got these guys who've got nothing going on in their lives and they're mostly on their phone and blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
that's it. Yeah. And it's like, if for women too, I hear women say all the time that they like that. Oh, I want a guy to text me. No, you don't. You don't.
Because coming back to where we first started at, like I've got the business going.
Yeah.
I have got that on lock. I'm very happy with the clients. I'm very happy with the work, but it does not take 40 hours a week. So now that I finally have what I've always wanted, I don't know what to do with it because it doesn't take up as much time. So what I've been doing unconsciously is using these plates as entertainment to fill up my time. And it took Wayne like back to the roots to figure out what I've been doing wrong. It's like, you fucking moron. You knew this. You knew this and you still messed up. And I was like, oh shit, it's not them. It's not me in bed. It's not the interest level. It's the texting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why
immediately I just stopped texting them all. Like, nope. And you're going to figure out what you're going to do with your time because you have been like using these girls as entertainment.
So this is why you told me like, you're not going to know what to do with your time.
Bingo.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cause when you posted that thing on in the Discord, I was like, man, you're not going to want to hear this, but you should probably revisit 3% Man.
And you were right.
Because that's exactly when I got back on the dating circuit. When I was thinner, I was getting dates. I was hooking up with chicks. I couldn't keep them around. And I'm the kind of guy where I like spinning plates, but I like spinning plates until I find the right plate. You know, so I have nurse
finds you.
Yeah. So I have nurse chick right now. Right. Great. She's a good chick. Right. I like having her around. But I couldn't get to that point because I was chasing women away. I was being too needy. I was over texting. And it wasn't until I read books like Corey Wayne's where I realized like, dude, you got to be focused on your purpose. And women subconsciously fucking know that, you know.
The problem is I've got my purpose. It
right.
just doesn't take 40 hours a week. Like,
right. So you're going to have to find some side missions, dude. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So exactly. And in all honesty, I find it hilarious. Like here I am, like having had these successes and things like that. And then like falling over such a minor thing where it's like, oh, come on, kid, you know this.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? I put out a video about this too. Is I've seen this a million times in the 3% Man group too, where these guys have read the book 10 to 15 times, like you're supposed to. They get really good at dating women. They find the girl of their dreams, and then they stop reading the book because they got it. I got this. And next thing you know, like maybe a year down the road, maybe even 2 years down the road, they're back to their bad habits, and they're back in the group, and they're like, oh, I picked up the book again. And you're like, why did you put it down?
Yeah.
You know,
it's like Stephen Covey, like resharpen the saw kind of thing. It's not a bad thing to revisit it every now and then. Because I started reading it again, like the introduction and things like that. I'm kind of like, yeah, Corey.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that read it on like 2 times or listen to it on 2 times speed on Audible, because he's such a slow talker that speeding it up helps them out. I feel like I'm losing the information if I do that though, so I don't like doing that, but I understand why people do that.
Yeah, no, I do it all the time, like with YouTube videos as well, just 2 times speed. But like, the thing is, because I get up very early and I've got the squat rack right here. So like guys always say, be on your purpose and lift and blah, blah, blah. Lifting does not take longer than 1 hour. Then I go take my walk, whatever, my hike, which is 1.5 hours. So that's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Then every now and then I get a client, I get the form videos. So maybe 2, or not even, maybe an hour, whatever. Because at a certain point, like with watching form videos, like at a certain point, you've done it so often and you've looked at so many forms, within like a couple of seconds, like that's good, that's not. Like, dun, dun, dun. It's like, you see the code in the matrix.
Yeah.
So let's say 4.5 hours is like your purpose. Well, 8 hours of sleep, that's 12.5 hours. It's like, what are we going to do with the rest? So it's not, and I want guys to like realize this, it's not one-itis or whatever. It really is looking for entertainment at a certain point.
Sure.
And then you're going to need different hobbies and things like that. Like right now I've picked up drawing, and because I've always wanted to learn how to draw. Whatever, what else? Photography I've been interested in. I want to get more into that. The writing doesn't even take that long as well. Like my blog posts are mostly like, I'm with my morning coffee, and all of a sudden I get a brain fart and I just start typing. Don't even edit it, whatever. Post, done. And
why don't you write a book?
I don't know.
That would be a purpose.
Yeah, but what is there to write about that hasn't already been said? I tried it in Portugal.
Doesn't matter. From your perspective, dude. No one's heard it from your perspective.
That is true. And,
so I'm writing a book now. I've been writing it since the beginning of the year. It's about 4 months. I had fucking writer's block. I was talking to Ryan about this. I have written it and rewritten it 4 times before I finally got to a place where I'm like, this is the story I want to tell. Right. And he told me that he's like, yeah, dude, that's how everybody writes books. I was like, oh, okay. But, so I'm writing about everything I wish I knew when I was 18. Right.
Oh, I tried that concept.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not just like dating, it's like investments, it's like career choices, it's like education, all that kind of stuff. And so now I'm pretty well into it. And it's like, there's millions of books on here about it. In fact, at the end of my book, I'm going to write like, more books you can read about this, and like list a whole bunch of people's books out, right? Like Clary does. But no one's heard it from my perspective before.
That is very true. Like I've made some beginnings here and there, and then I wondered, like, what is the thing I actually want to tell? And yes, maybe I do want to like throw my perspective in the world, and then it's kind of like, isn't that already in your YouTube videos? Yeah, it kind of is, blah, blah, blah. Maybe one day when I've written enough blog posts, I'll just make a bundle out of that and be like, okay, here's my book, and I'll narrate it and things like that. The narrating, though, is also a great way to spend your time. But right now, it's a bit stagnant with the narrating. Because like after Clary's book, which I'm very happy about, it's like finally I became Clary's narrator, people. Like a Dutch guy whose first language isn't even English is now Aaron Clary's narrator.
Aaron Clary's The Menu. Jack's the voice of that, if you didn't know.
Yeah. I'm not like, this was pretty funny actually, because that's why I asked you for an honest review. And the number one thing I kept hearing was, is it a robotic voice? And I'm kind of like, yeah, that's one thing where I'm like, I should have done that better. And I know exactly why it is like that, because I edit it. Normally when you speak, you have pauses between sentences,
Sure.
especially with reading as well. But I wanted a certain tempo in it, and I cut the pauses. So it sounds very like chop and go.
Uh-huh.
And that's where the robotic aspect comes from. I even told Cappy, like, you know what? Not really happy with it. He's like, kid, shut up. Did you do it? I'm like, well, it's out there. He's like, good enough.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I ask from you, that you do it, and you did it, and I'm thankful. I'm like, oh, well, not going to argue with that.
Have you, well, I just finished the Book of Pook. Book of Pook, whatever.
I always say pook.
Okay.
The Americans always say pook or whatever.
I thought it was Book of Pook, right? Like it rhymes. And but then I saw an old interview with Rollo, and he said pook. Like, anyway, doesn't matter.
It's hypergamy,
right?
Kind of thing. Like Sandman also always used to say hypergamy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Rollo comes in and he's like hypergamy. And it's like, okay.
Right.
Tomato.
Exactly. Who gives a shit? So, but there's no official audiobook of Book of Pook, but some guy on YouTube narrated it. And he also sells it on Gumroad, but you can just listen to it for free on YouTube. And that guy was probably one of the best fucking narrators I've ever heard in my life.
Nice.
You know, he put like inflection with everything, and he had like, you know how in Pook's writing, he's basically everything's like allegory and shit, like, you know, and he's got, you know, like, you know, he's summoning women and shit, right?
I love that part.
Right. So when he's doing that sort of thing, when the female's talking, the narrator takes on a different voice.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
he does that. Anyway, I really
I've done
like
a couple of Pooks. I've done a couple of Pooks. Like the first half, I narrated the first half.
Okay.
And a couple of tracks are out there on my channel and things like that. And a couple of my subscribers are like, when are you going to finish that? And the problem with that thing is that there is an official audio recording of it out right now. And multiple of them. And I'm kind of like, do I still want to do this?
Right.
But I really had a lot of fun narrating it because I could embrace my more theatrical side in it. It's like, and how does that part go again? And thus Pook snapped with his fingers, and from fire from when she was born came woman. Tell us, woman, what be thy attracted to? Well, Pook. And that was just amazing.
Dude, that's perfect.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, read Clary's books like that.
Oh, no, he's going to kill me. I tried that once, and he was like, you, sit down, listen. This is how I want you to narrate. And then he did a piece like, tell it to them like they're cattle, kid. Like, he put me down.
That's
like, I want you to
like him, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
he's
amazing.
Like, no. Don't sweet talk this shit. They're pieces of shit. That's why he has asshole consulting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like with Pook, and there's this part where he the Latin guy shows up, Jorge or whatever, or whatever. Name a Spanish name. And there's a Spanish character in there, and I went like full cultural appropriation on that. And Bull Rush just had the time of his life with that. He's like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I do need to pick that up actually, but it's gonna be for like the YouTube members exclusive. The first half is on there, but I just had a lot of fun with it. In all honesty, Feminism on Trial did kind of break me. That chapter took 1.5 hours, or no, sorry. The chapter is 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
So in total, that had got to take, I don't know, like 3 hours of narrating plus editing, if not more. Like, after that, I was just broken of like, oh.
I have a question as someone that does narrating. I suck at reading things out loud. I flub up my words. I am not a smooth talker. If anyone that's listening to the podcast knows that, how do you do you not have a problem with that? Do you just read and it's fucking perfect? Or do you like fuck it up and you're like, shit. And then you got to like put little notes down. Like I fucked up at this time so that you edit that piece out, or how does that work?
Do I look like a guy with a plan? I just do. I'm not kidding. Like, seriously, I just do.
Okay.
And there is a lot of fuck ups, like a lot.
Okay.
But you fumble the words in Audacity. You see where you start, you cut that out, you start again. And maybe you don't always start recording immediately. You read it out loud a couple of times so you know where the mistake comes, and you hit record, you do it again. That's what I do, but it's never a process or notes or whatever. I just go, I never edit afterwards. Like very rarely do I need to edit afterwards. It's always edited during the recording.
So you'll so if you fuck up, you'll pause it, go and
yep.
Oh, okay. I need to figure out how to do that better, because if I'm recording anything in Audacity and I fuck it up, I'm like, God, I gotta either start all over or I'm just like, I'm gonna have to listen to this whole fucking thing back and go back and edit it, you know?
Yeah, that for me just takes up too much time.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I'm making the mistake now, so we're starting at the beginning of the sentence and we're doing it again.
Got it. Okay. That makes more sense.
That's how I did Troy's books as well.
I still need, I have my audiobook list is absurd, but I need to get Troy Francis's books. Yeah. If you guys don't know this, like Jack's also the voice of Troy Francis's books. So
yeah, I wear many hats, like personal trainer, narrator, podcaster, things like that. So yeah. You're
a multifaceted, I think is what the word
Jack
is.
Jack of all trades, king of one. That apparently that's the original phrase, like Jack of all trades, king of one. Like be an expert in one thing, and do all kinds of other things.
So it's king of one, not master of none.
Apparently, but yeah, apparently the phrase is Jack of all trades, master of one.
Master of one. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that years ago from multiple people, and I was like, well, it kind of makes sense, because getting back to like the beginning, where you and I said, once you have that expertise and things like that, you'll find that it will not take up all your time. It just won't. So like, what are you going to do? Do more of that? Or are you going to expand to different things where you can relax a bit? And I've been asked that, where, why don't you stream your hobbies? And I'm like, I'll tell you what, because they're my hobbies. And as soon as I start streaming them, they become work. Yeah. And then I have more work. And I also want to be able to relax, kind of thing.
Yeah. You know what I just thought of should be your mission now?
What?
You're not going to like it.
Oh, God.
Your mission should be to try to build up your social media.
Oh, no.
Like you gotta learn how to send out those masculinity, platitudes and build up your following.
No, I'll just shit on a bigger fish. I mean, that's the way, right? Start beef. It's like, Roller deserves better haters.
That's how Ryan builds up his account. He starts internet beefs on Twitter. Yeah.
No, I don't want that. I cherish my peace of mind more than I do my follower count. And that might be a me thing, because I see a lot of guys out there who don't. But with the beef, I'm always kind of like, what does it really add? Like nothing except for a headache. When I still had Twitter, like I love to shit post. I really do. But it was mostly post and ghost. Like if it was an actual tweet that got traction with the Skittles people or whatever, I just mute it.
Mhm.
And every now and then I look back at it and I'd see the comments grow and the hate retweets. And I'm like, you do realize I've got this muted, right? And all of you are now all in a rut and losing your minds over something I'm not even reading.
Mhm.
And I just love that. It's like, look at these idiots. Meanwhile, I've got my feet up, nice coffee, talking to friends,
Yeah.
whatever, eating pizza, maybe have a plate, I don't know, doing something, building Legos. Who cares?
Yeah.
But with the whole starting B thing, I just don't.
I don't like that idea either. Yeah, when I first met Clary, right?
Mhm.
He told me, he's like, dude, you're so new into the space that you could literally talk to anybody in the space. He's like, you don't have any kind of like high school fucking drama with these other guys. And he goes, that's a good place to be, and you should try to keep it that way. And I took that to heart because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to fucking shit on Joe Blow red pill guy because I disagree with him necessarily. I'd rather talk to him, get his perspective. Yeah. Whether I agree with him or not, it's not important. It would just be good to have that discussion, you know?
Well, and with most disagreements these days, there are ego investments.
Yeah.
So what are you really disagreeing with? The idea being proposed or the person, the ego? And I find that 9 times out of 10, it's mostly the ego you're fighting. And I'm kind of like, yeah, sorry, I don't want that. Like, I'd love a civil discussion because I just like that. Like, I have a Cappy's gonna kill me. I have a minor in philosophy and like debating things like that. So I've been taught the rules of debate and things like that. Won multiple school debates. So I'd love to do it, but try find somebody who wants to debate and is actually in it like that. Like, here's an idea I'm proposing, and I would like to find the actual case of the idea instead of saying you're a dork, an idiot, a cult leader, gay, whatever.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, you're getting that. Now, I don't really have an issue with anybody in this space, but there are people who I've seen act against others where I'm kind of like, no, I'd rather not associate with you. Like, I don't have anything against you, but I've seen how you treat your enemies and even your friends where I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's just no. Like,
yeah. Not to name names, but guys that wear red hats and they're trying to make women great again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Trump. I don't mind Trump. That would be an interesting conversation. I know who you mean.
You know who I'm talking about. Okay. Because I was going to say, I don't mind Trump either. This mug didn't age well, but...
Oh, but speaking about controversies, and this is going to be up in November, and even like circling back to what you and I talked about in the beginning, what is old is new again. Like, we have had... what's the word again? Provocateurs since the beginning. Like Milo Yiannopoulos, where is he now?
He last I heard, he was like interning for some congressperson or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, we just mentioned Trump. He feeds on drama.
Oh, totally. Yeah, Trump is like a heel in like pro wrestling. You know, he says shit. It's same with Andrew Tate, right? Like they say shit that's like it's like you said, a provocative, and gets people like all up in their feels. It's like, yeah, that's what they wanted.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want. It works. It absolutely works. And okay, this is going to go up in like October, so it might not be relevant anymore. But like with the banning of Andrew Tate, I think it's absolutely stupid they banned him, because at least like it even was in Dutch news, and the reasons they're giving is like, oh, but he said men prefer younger women. Excuse me. Hello. Dataclysm entered the chat. Like, we have entire studies on this, that yes, men prefer younger women, and
men have always preferred younger women. It's not even a fucking debate.
No, and they're giving that as a reason. Like, leave it in the middle if you like Tate or not. I think he's entertaining as hell, but like the reasons these people give, and the same with Milo and the same with Trump, it's always this appeal to emotion kind of thing where it's like, yeah, but it makes me feel bad. Yeah, but what about you actually argue with him?
Yeah.
And Andrew has a couple of debates.
Yeah, it's like they're like, oh, well, I mean, he's right, but I just don't like how he said it.
Yeah.
What?
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Even in Dutch politics right now, we're getting a lot of that because they have a new Speaker of the House. And she is just, she's not objective at all. It's like somebody says a word she doesn't like, she mutes the speakers.
Oh, I hate
like that.
I hate.
No, she just mutes the speakers. And people make the argument like she's partisan. No, she's not partisan. She's just doing her job. No, she's not. She's being partisan.
What do you think of female politicians? I know Rollo hates them.
This is a bit of a loaded question.
Just to put this out here, right? Like I actually have pictures where I'm with Lauren Boebert, right? Do you know who Lauren? She's the congresswoman for my district. She's the U.S. congresswoman. She walks around with a pistol. That's like her gimmick. But she's from a small town that's like 2 hours from me. She started a restaurant there where all the waitresses pack heat. It's called Shooter's Grill, and they all wear pistols. And I've met her twice now, and I have pictures with her. I posted online. People lose their fucking minds over it. And guys in the manosphere, like Ryan's like, oh, Lauren Boebert, she's fucking crazy. And I'm like, oh, I actually met her, you know? But I like her, but at the same time, I don't trust any politicians, you know?
Well, that's a good point. Let's start there. I don't trust any politician, be you left, right, center, whatever. Be as libertarian as you want. If you're a politician, you're out for something. So let's get that off the bat first. What do I think about female politicians? That in the end, their nature is going to get the best of them. And what do I mean by that? Right now in the Netherlands, we had the whole farmer protest thing going on, and apparently there is a party right now that has the best interests, or at least it advocates for the best interest of farmers. And they're being led, like their party leader is a woman. And everybody all of a sudden is a fan of her. I'm like, I'm not trusting it. And guess what? You read the party plan, and here it comes. Free menstruation products for women. It's like, there we go.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is I am hesitant to believe they won't put the good of women before anything else, instead of the good of the individual. That they will always go for the best, or they will always go for the good of the collective of women over the good for the individual. That's kind of my thought on female politicians. I could go like very hardcore where it's like repeal the 19th, blah, blah, blah. It's never going to happen. Yeah. But I won't even say like what you just mentioned, like Rollo hates them kind of thing. I wouldn't say he hates them. In my humble, I haven't talked to Rollo in ages, but he just knows female psychology.
Yeah, I think that's where it comes from. But he always tweets, and maybe it's a provocative type thing, you know, like we talked about. But he'll tweet something that some dumb female politician did, and he says, "Vote for women, get ... He always posts that. So
yeah, and it's a natural cause and reaction, because this is female nature. This is what happens when you give it power. Same as men. What will happen if you give men unlimited power and unlimited access? They will abuse it. And especially men who've never had it. Like, say whatever you want about Peterson. He was right about that. You think strong men are dangerous. Just wait till you give a weak man power. that's when real danger comes in. And that's kind of with women what you see when they get power. That's where their innate firmware comes up. Where it's like, nope, women over sisterhood über allen, über alles. Both can be done in grammatical German. But yeah, that's kind of my thought about female politicians. Like if they would be kept in check, I don't have much of an issue with it, because like in the workspace, we're seeing it right now. Is it possible? Well, if you give them free reign, not really. But mind you, a majority of men has that blue pill mindset where it's like, oh no, we need to rescue the females. Like thirst is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're getting a chicken or the egg kind of story. It's like, what came first, thirst or female nature? And well, women are better together than they are apart, especially in relationships, especially in households. That has been proven time and time again. And now we're seeing what happens in the higher echelons of society, in politics. And in all honesty, I'm not seeing a very good thing happening right now. So that is a very, 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 very long answer to a very simple question.
Yeah.
Because I think there is truth to saying, don't get women in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen why.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're going to hear what about men in politics? Oh, yeah, goose gander, things like that. Men and women are different. But I wouldn't say it's wrong to have a female perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. Like I've seen where it goes when it goes unchecked. And I would find it lovely to see where it goes when it is checked, kind of thing. And Margaret Thatcher is being brought up a lot. But even Margaret Thatcher had these weird phrases of like, oh, this is what happens when you leave everything to men and blah, blah, blah. Like she had her condescending remarks as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't like that. It's like, no.
Yeah, that doesn't help anybody.
And this is the whole argument of, but what about Republican women? I'm sorry, but even with Republican women, it's sisterhood über alles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, And you have to take into account thirst is the worst. So there are going to be a lot of male politicians who are going to be like, oh, well, we need to protect female politicians and kind of like that. So
yeah,
it's a very touchy subject.
I will say this one thing about Lauren Boebert. Like I said, I like Lauren. And I've met her a couple times. The first time I met her, though, the one thing that she's ever done that's given me pause is when I first met her, she wasn't Congresswoman yet. She was running against a guy named Scott Tipton. She was trying to unseat him. He was an incumbent congressman, and she was opposing him because he was like, what they call a rhino, right? Republican in name only. He was voting for shit just to like fill his own pockets. He was a total crook. And so she was coming in as like the, ultra conservative Tea Party type person to unseat him. So she came to a local event. I met her. I was talking to her and I said, look, I go, Lauren, my problem with politicians in Congress and in the Senate is that there's no statute of limitations on your seats there. Like the president can only serve 2 terms, 8 years max.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But Congress people can be there for 30 fucking years, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I go, you guys will get elected. You'll go there and then you guys will just stay there and you guys all become a part of the swamp. You go in there with these great idealistic values and then you go there and then you make this a career. And now it's not about the values anymore. Now it's about making money.
Insider trading.
Right. And so I said, what I would like to see is term limits. That's the word, term limits, not statute of limitations. Term limits. I'd like to see term limits, Lauren. And Lauren goes, well, it's the voters' job to fire us if we're not doing the right job.
Mm-hmm.
I go, yeah, but that's not happening, Lauren. That's not happening. And so, the only way to get you guys out and not become a part of the swamp is to set term limits. And she was just like not having that. And I was like, okay. So you're going to go in there with these values, but you're going to become a part of the swamp. I know it. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong, but
you're not.
I'm not.
And it's like, then ask yourself, why do you want to be in politics kind of thing? Do you really think it's going to take a lifetime to change things? And this is what like the Tradcons and all the conservatives and things like that need to get into their heads. Because every 4 years it's someone else where it's like, oh, Trump is the savior of man. Or
that's what I've come to the realization. I used to be really into politics.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not anymore either. I realize like focusing on politics is like super negative, and literally every 4 to 8 years, it all changes anyway. That, someone else is in office, you got other problems to deal with. And if your guy's in office, everything's fucking hunky dory. But if your guy's not in office, oh, the world's ending, and we got to stock up on storable foods and shit. It's like, no, just give it a couple of years.
Exactly. I mean, look at your personal life and ask yourself, like what I mentioned about the whole like second date thing. What can I change about my situation instead of being dependent on somebody else?
Yeah.
Like somebody got banned from YouTube, free speech. Did you get banned? No. Okay. And look, it's okay to stand for something and express your opinion and things like that. Sure. But stand for it for you kind of thing. What do you want? And this whole, we need to save everybody and save everyone, that's not going to happen.
No.
And for me, that was always part of the red pill community kind of thing, where it's like, get yours.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, swap notes, share notes, but I'm not going to tell you how to think. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can tell you what I did and suggest you might want to apply it because it gave me the results I wanted. But if the results you want don't overlap with the results I wanted, then you want to do something else. And there's a plethora of posts on the Reddit that might align with your preferred outcome. And with politics, well, that's never going to happen because every politician in there will tell you what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get in and then they're not going to do anything. We have the same thing right now in the Netherlands where it's like, well, you know what? We used to have a free scholarship for everybody for college, and they don't have that anymore. Now it's the loan system, and the loans aren't as egregious as they are in the States.
Oh, they're outrageous.
I mean, if you pick the right degree, you're going to be fine. I mean, let's be honest here. If you're going to pick the right degree,
you can pay it back. Yeah, you can pay it back.
Easily.
Yeah.
But right now, of course, the politicians are going to play into the student forgiveness thing. And the female politicians are going to play into the free menstruation products or the time off during your menstruation and things like that. But hey, we're all equal. It's kind of like, you know what? They're all trying to win votes.
Yeah.
And they're not going to change anything. So I'm just going to make sure I've got my house in order, which is preferable over everybody's house because they're probably going to fuck it up anyway. Females and politician, let's say we're going to get them out tomorrow. They'll be back within a year.
Yeah.
Thirst is the worst.
Or they'll go become lobbyists or something like that.
Yeah, they'll be back within a year. So it's not even worth the argument.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Jack, you're a poopy head for bringing it up.
I'm such a fucking asshole. Jack, we're well over an hour now, so I think we should wrap this up. Great talking with you, though. Great catching up.
Likewise.
Where can people find you online?
Okay, so youtube.com/Jack Napier Knows. Click any random video and all my links will be in there. I have an Instagram at Jack Napier Knows. And that's
and
about
he hates it. He fucking hates it.
I absolutely hate it. I usually have it for like animal photos and food and very, very dank memes where it's like, yes, very edgy memes. That's what I prefer. But oh well.
Follow Jack for the dankiest memes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brother. I will let you go. It's after 1 a.m. for me, so I need to get to bed. So
sleep tight, brother.
All right, man. Catch you later. Jack, it was good catching up with you, man. You're welcome back anytime. You know that. yeah, man, at the time of this recording, we haven't really talked a lot either, but I think that you've been real busy. I haven't been on the Discord server, so I think that's been a part of the problem. But yeah, good having you on, man. Everybody, I said it at the beginning, the intro. If you've listened this far, you know that Jack was talking about, his recording of the Book of Pook. He finally finished it. So at the time of this episode dropping, he's finished that. Go check it out. I've actually listened to some of it, and Jack's narration of it's pretty good. He puts a lot of passion into it. I highly recommend it. And the Book of Pook is just, I think it's a fundamental. It's you have to read it if you want to be in this space at all. You need to read Book of Pook. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I have for this episode. Let me give you give a quick shout out to the Patreon again, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. The link is in the description. There's 5 tiers available. The lowest tier really helps support the show more than it's like $5. That's like a cup of coffee at Starbucks. That's the lowest tier. It's the least you can do if you really enjoy this content and you want me to keep making more episodes, and you want to help me get this podcast in front of more men. That's a great way of doing it. But like I said, there's 5 tiers available. If you want dating advice, if you want just life advice, if you want, maybe you suck at job interviews, right? I'm actually really great at job interviews. I can help you on that. Join one of the higher tiers, right? I can help you with literally whatever you're interested in. If there's anything that I don't know anything about, like I'll be transparent and be like, dude, I don't know much about that. I can't help you there. So if there's something that you want help with, maybe DM me on Instagram and say, hey, do you know anything about this? And then we can go from there. That's a great way of doing it. Otherwise, I know a lot about finance and investing. I know a lot about losing weight. I know a lot about dating and sexual dynamics. Stuff like that. Maybe you just want someone that holds you accountable every month. Like maybe what you need to do, and you just need someone to check in with you periodically to see how you're doing on that stuff. Like all that. My current Patreon members use me for all that kind of stuff, and I'm happy to do it. So check it out, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Also, get on the email list. I said at the beginning of the show, the email list.comeonmanpod. The link is in the description. You get free stickers. This one says, none of you, ladies, none of you can be first, but all of you can be next. You can get one of these stickers for free. Just sign up for the email list, and I will send it postage paid. Just get on the email list. The link is in the description. All right, guys, that's all I have for this episode. Guess we'll catch you next week on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.